guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. This video is featuring some products from Gina K Designs. This is Hopping Good Day. I'm using the stamps and dies for that. I'm using the stamps for Spring Garden and then the stamps and dies for Smiling Blooms. And then this is the thick brush stencil, which I've used like a ton. And so I had an idea for what I wanted to do with this little bunny. This is actually going to be my daughter's Easter card. And I wanted to do a little scene, but I didn't necessarily have the things to do a scene with. And so we're going to combine these unexpected sets to create this cute little Easter scene. So first things first, I knew I wanted to have my bunny kind of peeking out from behind a fence. And so I did go in and cut some strips of white cardstock to 3/4. And then I laid my stamp down so that I could see how I needed to position my fence, because I'm making this up, right? Like this isn't a die that I have. I'm just using cardstock to come up with my little fence, and I need to make sure that the scale is correct, that the little bunny is kind of like peeking through this fence. And then, this is a funny story, actually. So I wanted to do something behind the fence, do a little bit of a scene. And so that's why I pulled out the Spring Garden. And I knew I wanted to use the flowers from the Smiling Blooms as like branches that would mimic the crown of flowers on my cute little bunny. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just pull out the Spring Blooms and it's got the little mushrooms in it. And that'll be great because, you know, bunnies like to, hop through gardens and all those little things. And so that will be fantastic. So I am doing, most of this is like a no line coloring vibe, even though I'm not using no line coloring ink. I am using a lighter ink. So I stamped the mushrooms in Craft, and then I stamped them again on Gina's Masking Magic because I don't have the dies for this set. And I need to, I wanted, to be able to mask them for the stenciling as well. So I just stamped those down. I used that same Craft ink from Gina K, and then I'm trimming them out. Once I get them masked, I will put some ink down first as a base, and then I will do a stencil of that thick brush kind of over top of it. So this is why this is funny. So I was like, oh, this will be cute, these little scenes. And then because I want to know all of the information about all of the things, I was like, I probably should have looked to see if bunnies even eat mushrooms before I put the mushrooms in the scene. And do you know what? They don't. They don't eat mushrooms. Do you know why? Mushrooms are toxic to bunnies. So if you have a bunny, don't feed it mushroom because you will murder it. Yeah, so poor choice on my part, but thankfully, really by the end of the day, they're really just in the background and you can't even really see them. Truly, if I was recreating this card, I would probably just leave them out and just maybe put some extra flowers back there and mask those off. But yeah, I thought it was very comical. Like of all the things I could have put in the background, I picked the thing that would actually not be good for the bunnies, not at all. So I am doing a kind of lightish blue sky, greenish bottom. So we're not really we're not going to a ton of work. We're just going to do a couple of that Salvage Patina, the Salty Ocean, and then to I think this is Mermaid Lagoon, just so we have a nice kind of bright blue sky. And then we'll do the same thing with the greens, just kind of filling up that background. Now, I will say that I did leave all of this in, even though you can't really see the stenciling, and I know that if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't. But the reason that I'm leaving it in is because it may spark something in you or inspire you in a different way, so that, maybe you're then inspired to make a different kind of scene card, which is really the whole point of us doing this, right? I mean, it's to learn things, but it's also to inspire each other in what we're making. So I do try to leave in as much as I can, even if at the end of the day you don't even see it. And I realize that some card makers are quantity, that's what drives them, is they want to, if they sit down for an hour, they want to bust out 4 cards in an hour. Your girl here doesn't even do one card in an hour. I just don't. And everybody enjoys different things in the process. So, there isn't a right way or a wrong way. There just might be my way isn't for you. And that's cool too. So I did the Twisted Citron, the Mowed Lawn, and then the Rustic Wilderness lightly in the background. And now I am going to go in with those same colors, being very, very light-handed at the top. I want it to kind of softly drift off and just help to fill up this space between my fence to help it look fuller. That's all my stencil is doing here. Now, if you know what I mean? If maybe you want to use this the way that it is, we can go through and add some shading with our alcohol markers, which is what I'm going to do for all of my pieces. And then maybe you could use that differently than I did. So this is our made up fence, the fence that we're just making up as we go, such as my whole life. So I'm doing the brushed corduroy. I have a tendency to use white cardstock for these types of things, just because that's naturally what I reach for, because for years I didn't buy colored cardstock. But a craft would work beautifully here. If you didn't want to do the extra inking, just find a tan or a light brown, a craft. I like Desert Storm. Like whichever one will work for you, and you can just use that as your base. Here, I'm doing all of my stamping. So I stamped my mushrooms in that craft colored ink from Gina K. And I'm going to do my bunny and my flowers in this Morning Fog, which is like a medium gray, because I want to color my bunny like a pale gray. And that will work for it's a neutral. It'll work well for my flowers as well. So there was really no reason to hunt another color down. I did not prep any of these stamps. These are right out of the packaging, right onto the cardstock. So I am stamping them twice. If you prep them, you have a little better coverage the first time around, but I'm lazy and I don't do it. So I just stamp them 2 times because I am blessed enough to have a stamp positioner. So once these are stamped, I did stamp extra flowers. I'll show you here how many we're working with. And not all of them are whole or complete. Some of them kind of hang off the edge, but that's okay. We're using them as branches. And so we don't need it in its entirety. For my fence here, we're going to add some shading, but mostly we're going to add some wood grain, which sounds like it would be difficult, but really it's not so much. It's just kind of whirls and swirls. The one thing that I will tell you is when you're going in, if you're like me and you decide to go in with your darkest color, do not apply any pressure. Kind of just let your marker skim the paper so that it kind of naturally skips. That's how you're going to get the most realistic drawn wood grain. So I like to start with my darkest color and then I go over them with my darker mid-tone, my light mid-tone, and then my lightest color. Because alcohol markers blend in the fibers of the paper, the more ink we're putting down, the better they're going to blend with each other. As far as the actual shading go, you can see I'm adding shading to the left and the right-hand sides as well as to the right-hand side of 2 of them. And this is because that's going to be the bottom of my frame, like the bottom of the cross post for my fence. So when you guys are watching this, did I say Happy Easter? Did I? I can't remember. Happy Easter. I can't believe that it's Easter already, and Easter's so late this year, but that's okay. So we are, even though we have so much going on right now, we are still, our intentions are to still celebrate the holiday as much as we possibly can. So like today, when I'm doing this voiceover, it is Saturday, and we are doing the Easter for my husband's side of the family. I probably will not get to see much of them just because it's just not kind of where we're at. But then tomorrow, we're going to do Easter at my parents' house. My sisters and I will make dinner. And that way we can, everybody can come over as they normally would, do dinner, and spend some time with mom. So that is the plan for that. Normally, it's so interesting trying to, because like your whole life growing up, how like things are, like there's certain traditions in your family or how things are done. So we always have ham on Easter. We do mashed potatoes because my mother does not like cheese in any form at all, but like Eric's family does ham, and then they do cheesy potatoes, which are delicious. They are delicious, because I do love cheese, and my daughter is basically made of cheese, but my mom and my one sister, they're no cheese people. So there's always like a difference in, what the two menus are. But now, obviously, because of the situation where mom can't, do all of those things anymore, it's on us to make dinner. So I had to sit down with her the other day and make sure that I was getting all of the things that she would want. And then normally, like we would usually do like pie or something for dessert. But I have been making her desserts for, whatever kind of dessert that she wants. She can have a new dessert every night if she wants to. She can have whatever she wants. Her coconut cream cake, that's the one I normally make for her birthday and for Mother's Day. And unfortunately this year on her birthday, because her birthday's in February, Caitlin was sick. So I didn't get to make it for her birthday. So I am going to make it for Easter. So that way I know, that she can have her cake. And also, that's like somehow become, even though I make it for my mom, it's somehow become my father's favorite cake. So normally for his birthday, I do German chocolate, but he really loves the coconut cake, so that might be switching. But anywho, so we're going to be doing that for dessert, and then that way she can do the Easter baskets with the kids and everything like that. So we're trying to keep things pretty normal. But I don't, like, genuinely, I do not know how, and I've seen your comments and I am in awe of you. Like how several of you have said, like, that you were your mother's or your father's or your loved one's caretaker. I would do this 1,000 times over for my mother. There is absolutely no doubt of that. But we're splitting it between three of us. I don't know how some of you who are only children, or some of you who maybe your siblings live out of state or they're not well enough, I have no idea how you did this solo and still were able to work or take care of your own kids, or it is amazing. And my mom, my wonderful mother, she has taken care of people her whole life. She took care of my dad's mom when she was sick. And then she took care of her father when he was sick. And then she took care of my grandmother for 10 years when she couldn't do it. And she just has spent her whole life caring for people. And what an amazing legacy to leave behind. That her whole life, she was just a wonderful caretaker, of people that she loved. And as I have told her, I'm so blessed that God chose her to be my mother. I'm very, very grateful that I had such a wonderful mother, because I know not everybody does. And so especially like with Easter and, celebrating the resurrection, and like mom and I were just, when I was over there this morning, we were talking about it, and what a enormous comfort that is for me and for her to know the love of Jesus, and to know that when our time comes that we will be together again. She told me today, she said, I don't expect to see you for a very long time. So I told her, I said, well, you hang out with Graham until I get there. So, like that is just, it's such an enormous comfort to me. And I hope that if you are in a similar situation or, you have your own health scares, I hope that that's also an enormous comfort to you. And thank you so much for those of you who have reached out with your messages, with your prayers, with your comments. You guys are so wonderful. You guys are so wonderful. And who knew, 15 years ago when I started this hobby, making cards by myself in my bedroom, that it was going to lead to such a wonderful support system. Well, I guess God did, right? I guess he knew. But thank you so much. Thank you for all of your love, and just know that it is felt and it is appreciated. So let's talk about this bunny. So I colored the bunny light gray, and I think that just stamping him in the morning fog was really nice, but the eyes needed to be brought alive. And I wanted my bunny to have blue eyes because Blue is my boyfriend, and also I had a blue sky. So I did go right over that morning fog with, first I think you saw me try, I think it was the BO2, and then I went back with the BO4. So I left the blue like rings around the top and the bottom, but then I filled in the center outside of those two little white areas that are left open for the highlights, and this little bunny's eyelashes with a fine liner. Now the ones I'm using are no longer around, but you can use a Copic multi-liner or anything else. But I really think the eyes, like filling in those eyes, is what really kind of brought the bunny to life. And I think that step, while it does take a little bit of time to make sure, that you're not going outside of the lines and you have to be a little bit more precise, I think it's totally worth it to bring that little bunny to life. For the flowers, I love this set and I will be using it for tons of other stuff. I actually just got a Gina K order probably last month, and this is the first opportunity that I've been really able to kind of dive in there and use it. So there will be much more coming with these flowers. I like them quite a bit. So I chose the same, like this kind of more muted pink. And we put pink on the little bunny's nose and on the little bunny's cheeks and in the ears. And I really love that as well. And then so adding the shading to the flowers, we're adding shading where the points are meeting the center. And I just am doing just a little flick of color and then moving my way out to my lightest color. Again, just making sure that, when you do your darkest color, you take your dark midtone and completely cover the darkest color and stretch it out a little bit. I am going to say this is probably not accurate, the way that I colored the centers. Like there's one little side flower and that bottom piece probably should be green, but I colored it yellow. So it almost looks like it's like half a flower, like two of the petals have fallen off. I think it looks okay, but I do think that little piece was intended to be green. So just FYI. And then for I'm going to show you one branch and the little crowns, because I colored all of them the same. But where we have one object laying on top of the other, so where the flowers are laying on top of the leaves, we will add some shading. And then I am being careful to make sure that I'm going over that gray, because I don't want the gray to look gray. I want the gray to pick up the color that we're putting over top of it. So this isn't a true no line coloring look, but it's like almost like a softer line coloring look, I guess would be a good way to explain it. It's just a softer line. Which I think works really nicely here. So yeah, other than that, I got the kids, well, it was like a group effort between my husband and I. We got the stuff for the kids, Easter baskets, And like sometimes it gets like a little bit challenging because I don't just want to buy them all this candy. Like my kids are still eating their Halloween candy. I'm not kidding. Like they get so much because our development is quite large. But so I buy them a little bit of candy. I get them a chocolate bunny, but I try to kind of shy away from the rest of it. Here, where the gray is, I am just going in. This is my mid-tone, and I'm just kind of very lightly kind of outlining the flowers just to make sure that gray looks pink. It looks really dark when you first put it down, but it does kind of dry back. So here's everything colored up. Love this bunny. And in that set, that hopping good day or whatever, it's not all Easter. Like you can just use this. There's like a little what do they even call that? Like Rosie the Riveter, like little rag that's like you can tie up in the bunny's hair. There's sunglasses. There's all kinds of like cute things you can do with the bunny. It's not just for Easter. And then I'm going to die cut all of these out. And then you can see kind of to the left how I've started laying things out. This isn't how the card ends up completed, but I realized pretty quickly that I was going to need to cut this into 2 posts. So I just cut it right in half. And then that way I can put a post on the left and a post on the right. So that you could leave it. You really could leave it with just the 2 crossbars and it would be fine. But I felt like this looked more finished because you guys know that I do love I love a framed in look. Here, what is this called? This is Gina's. And is it dark chocolate? Is that the name of her paper? I think so. So I treated it with anti-static tool. I'm going to stamp this in some white pigment ink. I'm going to stamp it 2 times because that's how I prefer to do it. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with some white detail embossing powder. And then I will die cut this as well. What were we talking about? Oh, just keeping things like normal and doing like their Easter baskets. So this year I opted to do more of like a pool theme because my little one is still doing swimming lessons and my older one is growing like a weed. So he doesn't, like last year swim trunks were like kind of iffy. There were some pairs that were definitely too small, but he won't give up the small clothes. I don't know what that's about. But so I got them some new swimsuits and I got them some dive toys. Like I got her some little mermaids and him some little rings. I got him a new pair of goggles. She just got a new pair of goggles, so she didn't need any. And then, the little candy things and things like that. So here, I knew I wanted to pop my bunny up. So I'm actually gluing my bunny to the, like in between the fences. And then I'm going to do the posts on either side. And then that way I can remove that. And even if you felt like the flowers were too much, like you could even do it like this and it would be really cute. It would look like there was a little field in the background and you could just put the sentiment maybe more up top. If you guys have watched my channel, you know that I am all about like the more bang for your buck and stretching your supplies as much as possible. And so that's why I like scene cards anyway, but I really love ones like this where you're kind of bringing a couple of different things together to make a completely different card and just get more out of the products that you have. I am a big fan of that. Okay, so now that we got the bunny all put together, now we are going to do the branches. So this is almost supposed to look like maybe a little like tree or a little bush or like a flowering shrub maybe. So you can see the branches and stuff kind of behind it, and then it also matches that little crown on top of our bunny's head. And so originally I thought, well, I would do like a diagonal design so that I had flowers in the top right, bunny in the middle, and then like the sentiment down into the bottom left. But that just was not enough to carry the card. So I ended up doing branches on both sides. This is me trimming off all of the excess. These were just glued down flat. to each other. And then because because I want my scene to be cohesive, and I also have a problem, I am going in and coloring in the white outline so that it blends in with the blue sky or the green grass or whatever it happens to be laying on top of. So I did that before I put anything else on top. Now I'm checking in my bunny placement. I'm going to go ahead and glue my sentiment down. Again, I knew I wanted to pop up my bunny and my fence, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue the sentiment to the fence post, and then that way it'll be popped up as well. I added foam tape on the back of all of that. I wanted to get my shimmer down on all of my flowers before I put the foam on, as well as I love a little detail work. Not everybody does. It's cool. Skip it if you don't like it. But I thought that it would be nice to add in some little white dots into kind of like the base of the petals, just to kind of mix it up, break up that color a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the backer of the foam adhesive, and I will get it lined up. I think this kind of card, like before this, how it is here, before we put the bunny on, I think that would be really cute with like a fairy. I think I have a fairy, maybe from Whimsy Stamps. Maybe I'll do that. That'll be fun. So here, that is hanging off. I'm going to go ahead and trim off these little legs, if you will, little fence legs. And then I do need to just trim along both sides a little bit. You can see the foam tape from the side. It doesn't bother me, but it might bother some of you guys, so you might just want to use a thinner piece of foam tape there. And then once this was adhered into place, I did the same thing with the blending the edges. I'm adding a little bit more shimmer to my bunny because it's for my little one, and then that's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I wish you a happy and blessed Easter. I will be back soon with another video. I hope this inspires you to use your stamps a little bit differently. I appreciate you spending your time with me, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.